How's it going, guys? I'm Jared from Avalanche Reviews. Now, I've got a lot of opinions about gaming and gaming culture, and I thought since I have this YouTube channel, I may as well vent to you guys. So I'm going to start up a new video series where I sit here and talk about a lot of things that bother me or things that I really like about gaming and gaming culture, and I hope you guys like it. Today we're going to start off with a subject real near and dear to my heart, and it's Japanese RPGs, or American localization of Japanese RPGs. And I don't know, this has just been eating at me a long time because I started playing Japanese RPGs a long time ago when I was a kid, and I grew up playing them. And as you grow up as a kid playing RPGs, you figure out they're all coming from that one place. They're all coming from Japan. And once you start doing more research, you want to find out what games are coming out next, you start to notice that a lot of them just aren't coming out. A lot of Japanese RPGs are being published and having a really good release in Japan, but they're never coming over here. And I've always felt like we're really just missing out on such a huge chunk of gaming history. And just there's no reason for it. You know, now I speak conversational Japanese at best. I don't read kanji or katakana or hiragana, so I can't play Japanese RPGs without a GameFAQs translation in front of me. And you know, that's no fun, and it's a lot of effort to go through to learn kanji and Japanese just to play a video game. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't suggest you guys try. So why aren't RPGs being released here in America? Why are games that are doing well in Japan not coming here? So I've narrowed it down to 3 reasons that, in my opinion, are keeping these games from coming over here to America or to the UK or any English-speaking country. And number 1 is the companies, Squaresoft, Namco, Capcom. These companies are underestimating the market for RPGs here in America. I mean, if you're watching this, chances are you probably get into RPGs. And if you do get into RPGs, you'll probably buy one if it comes out. If it looks good, you'll get it. There's nothing stopping us from buying them. They're not here for us to purchase. And that's the real problem. The Japanese are assuming we're not going to buy them. And I don't understand why they would, based on history alone. If you look at just the NES to the SNES, that whole era, I mean, think about the great RPGs that came out. Remember in the SNES era, you had games coming out almost, it seemed like on a bi-monthly basis. You had a Chrono Trigger or a Final Fantasy V coming out, or a Secret of Mana coming out. These were incredible games, and they sold really well. I don't understand why, for some reason, moving up to the PlayStation era, RPGs were still selling like hotcakes. I don't get what happened. I don't understand if there's any numbers to back it up, but I really don't feel like people have stopped buying RPGs. I feel like they've stopped coming here. And that's a real problem for me. And it kind of leads me into my second reason I think that RPGs aren't making it here to America. And that's modern gamers. And more specifically, I guess it's the Japanese companies' inability to separate modern gamers from RPG gamers. Now there tends to be a little cross-pollination between the two. RPG gamers will go out there and they'll buy, you know, Halo 4 when it comes out. They'll buy the latest first-person shooter, and that's fine. But these companies tend to believe that they need to market towards both, and that's not true. In my opinion, if you make an RPG that's really good, RPG fans will play it, and you don't necessarily need to market to the Call of Duty fans. There's really nothing wrong with getting into a specific genre. I think most of the time these companies are spreading themselves too thin to market to both crowds, and that's just, you're not going to win anything doing that. I mean, look at Final Fantasy XIII. That was a disaster, and the reason it was a disaster is because it was a watered down, almost seemed like an Americanized attempt at pandering to modern gaming fans, and it netted them nothing. They had to release a sequel to it to apologize to the fans. And that's what's going to happen every time when these companies spread themselves too thin and they start putting out these RPGs that want to appeal to this guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. Just put games out for RPG fans. We love RPGs. We're going to buy an RPG if it's marketed to us. We're not going to buy an RPG if it's marketed to everybody who plays video games, because there's a lot of people who play video games and we all have specific tastes. But the one thing portion of us can agree on is RPGs are great. So put out an RPG for a crowd of people who enjoy RPGs. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Now that kind of moves me forward into the third reason Japanese games aren't being localized and brought to America, and that's bad Japanese games coming here to America and doing poorly. And I hate to beat a dead, terrible piece of shit horse, but Final Fantasy XIII, again, it's the archetypal failure of a Japanese RPG here in America. And the reason for it isn't because we don't like RPGs. The reason Final Fantasy XIII did bad is because it was a bad game. They made poor decisions making it. They watered it down and they made it a linear snore fest. I mean, if you're going to make an RPG, one of its best features can't be you don't have to play the fighting engine. That's bad game making. But these Japanese companies see it as, well, we're just not interested in RPGs, and that's definitely not the case. We want RPGs, but we don't want bad RPGs, and we don't want another Final Fantasy XIII. We don't want Japanese games coming here to America and being Americanized. We enjoy Japanese games because they're Japanese. And of course, there are still quality RPGs being localized and translated and released here in America and doing very well. Look at games like the Persona series, Persona 3 and Persona 4. I mean, how many different iterations have come out here in America of Persona 3 and 4 for the PSP and for the PS2, and these games are just an example of how well RPGs can do here in America without being Americanized. I mean, let's not forget about Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. We all remember when Squaresoft thought they would release an RPG for Americans, and I can't help but see the parallels between that game and Final Fantasy XIII. They both pander to American audiences to an almost insulting degree, and it kind of made us feel like Japanese companies thought that we were stupid and we just didn't get RPGs. And I think you guys know that that's not the case. We understand them and we love them. Just release them here and we'll buy them and you'll do well with your company. I guess the one thing you should take away from this rant is I love RPGs, and I hope that Japanese developers start to realize that we will play Japanese RPGs in their entirety. We don't need the gimmicks of modern gaming and incredible voice acting. We don't want that. Just give us the RPGs. That's all I'm asking for. Alright guys, I better start wrapping this up. So if you have any agreements or disagreements or your own views on localizing Japanese games, let me know in the comments down below. And if you ever want to drop me a line, you can find me at facebook.com/avalanchereviews or twitter.com/avalanchejared. Thanks for watching, and as usual, I'm Jared from Avalanche Reviews, and I will see you guys later.